Our next guest was the athletic director at Neuqua Valley from its inception and through its first 19 years. Barb Barrows joins us from Kentucky. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it, Kevin.
So you were at the very beginning of Neuqua's history, and correct me if I'm wrong, 1997. My math isn't always correct.
Yes, I began in 1997. Actually, I was hired in 96 to get the ball rolling, literally, and then I had 20 years as an AD. So yeah.
So in that time, how did you see girls and women's sports evolve over those 19, 20 years?
Well, it's been 23 years since I've been, since my hiring time. But overall, I think there's been, an increase, and most important, I think there's been a change of thinking, where I think the expectations, of women in sports and girls in activities have definitely increased, and the expectations are there that they have equal facilities, equal coaching staff, equal uniforms, etc. So I think the thinking has definitely changed over the years, and we've definitely seen a positive direction.
We hear the word fair a lot. Fair chance to play, fair opportunities. Do you think we're moving closer to the word fair when in a very general sense?
I think everybody has a different definition of fair, like you said. Fair and equitable, and it's not always going to be equal for different reasons. But I think, yes, we are moving in a better direction of fairness, of opportunity for girls and women in sports.
We'll get to the athletes in a moment, but first I want to talk about your position as an athletic director, because you were in the minority when you were hired. I would still likely say that female athletic directors are a very strong minority in the athletic director community. Why is that? Why do most schools tend to hire male athletic directors?
I think there's some history there of tradition of, what typically was way back when. I don't want to stereotype, but sometimes that happens. The football coach that possibly, is no longer coaching kind of slipped into some of those positions of athletic directors. And when I started, there was probably a very small handful of women that were in it. I've always been interested in sports. I had great coaches. I had great role models. And it kind of led me into believe that that's what I wanted to do. After teaching, that's what I wanted to do. So I think overall, the growth is there, the change is there. The change is not quick enough sometimes, but it is there. If we reflect back to 30 and 40 years ago, absolutely, we're seeing great change, positive change.
What does the perspective and the insight that you bring to the table that perhaps some of your male counterparts simply can't bring as an athletic director?
Well, I won't say the word. I would use the word can't bring. I think myself, I'm different than others as individuals. And I think I worked very hard in my position. I worked hard for my coaches. I worked hard for the athletes to make sure that they had great opportunities and they had great role models in front of them. And so that's not something someone else can't do. I just think that I earned a lot of respect in the fact that I was able to provide a good experience for my coaches and the athletes.
I want to move next to the conversations that we have revolving around women's sports. A lot of the conversation over the last, we'll say, 10 years have been trying to identify ways in which it's not equitable. And now it seems almost as if it's shifted to being more action-based. So go out and support your women teams. Go out and watch, tune in, and buy the merchandise. For you, where should the conversation be right now, focusing on women's sports?
I think there should be continued focus on opportunities in coaching as well as in the professional world. And we're breaking through that at this point, and I want to see that continue. So that focus, and I stated earlier that it really starts very young. And so if we could really focus on programs, successful, positive experience programs for young girls very early on, that they grow up and they continue to believe that this is just the way it is. This is what I should expect. And I think we're there, but I think we need to continue to be there. And so when a young athlete, a female athlete, sees their coach as a female or sees a female AD. I think when I was at the school, I don't think any of the students thought any different that I was a female. I don't think they said, oh, I can't believe we don't have a male AD. I really believe that that's what they believe. I think our kids are much more resilient to change and accepting, where some of us that are a little older and even older than I kind of get set in our ways, and they expect certain things and stereotypes. So I give a lot of credit to our athletes and our younger kids that really are open to differences, open to change, and I think that's what's going to make the difference.
Focusing on the athletes, and we'll wrap up with this question. In your
Sure.
mind, why should there be an emphasis or maybe even a priority on trying to provide young women with female coaches who they can look up to as strong role models?
Well, first of all and foremost, I think to hire a positive, extremely knowledgeable coach to provide that experience is top priority, male or female. And I really do believe that we need to put good role models in front of the kids so they can have a successful experience and grow from that and move on. Like gender or like cultural experiences, I think it is important to get individuals that can be in front of kids for like gender or cultural experiences. I think it instills in individuals the hope and also the attitude of, I can do that. You know, it's not to be stuck in a stereotype, but to believe that they can do something that others have set before them. So that's what I would say. If you could get those role models, I think that's important.
Well, thank you so much for taking time and chatting with us and giving us your insight.
Sure. Hope it goes well. Thank you.
Thank you.